Shanghai hospital's epidemic outbreak. Nursing workers disclose insights. Beijing's epidemic cannot be hidden. Re-vaccination with new COVID-19 vaccine underway. Xi Jinping Pressure's second generation red for financial aid in emergency, threatens resorting to measures. Beijing leadership holds closed-door economic meeting. Rising dowry costs. China legislates to prohibit the solicitation of property through marriage.
It's all covered in today's China Truths.
Shanghai hospital's epidemic outbreak. Nursing workers disclose insights. As the coronavirus epidemic continues to wreak havoc across China, hospitals in various regions are grappling with an overwhelming influx of patients. Care workers in Shanghai have brought to light the extensive outbreak within hospitals, reaching critical levels of bed demand. A significant number of healthcare professionals, patients, and their families have succumbed to the virus. Wang Hao, a care worker in Shanghai, revealed that individuals with weakened immune systems are likely to face severe consequences. He recounted a recent incident in the hospital involving a patient who had undergone surgery and potentially contracted the virus, emitting a strong odor of decay from his inflamed and ulcerated lungs. After caring for a recovered patient, Wang also experienced lingering effects such as drowsiness and weakness, a condition referred to as long-term coronavirus in reports. Despite the necessity of caring for patients, Wang emphasized, doctors and nurses advised against it, deeming it inappropriate. Transmitting the new coronavirus to patients who had recently undergone surgery and were already in a weakened state would only exacerbate the situation. Throughout this epidemic wave, cases have ranged from mild to severe and fatal outcomes. However, the official response from the Chinese Communist Party downplays the situation, withholding crucial statistics. In this context, a nationwide vaccination mandate has been issued. Beijing's epidemic cannot be hidden. Re-vaccination with new COVID-19 vaccine underway. According to the Beijing Center for Disease Control and Prevention, the current prevailing strains of the COVID-19 virus, XBB, and its sub-branches, exhibit strong immune escape capabilities, posing a higher risk, especially to the elderly and individuals with weakened immune systems. In response to the escalating epidemic this winter and the coming spring, Beijing has recently launched a widespread vaccination campaign. Specifically, on December 11, CCTV reported that Beijing authorities are urging individuals aged 60 and over, as well as those aged 18 and above with serious underlying health conditions, weakened immune systems, and a high risk of infection, to receive the XBB COVID-19 vaccine. Similar situations are taking place in other cities nationwide, including Shanghai, Xi'an, Wuhan, Datong, Yantai, Guangzhou, Xianyang, Suzhou, Nanchang, and Harbin, where local officials also have initiated vaccination campaigns with the XBB COVID-19 vaccine. In addition to encouraging the public to get revaccinated, authorities have reinstated a mask mandate. The Chinese CDC's mask mandate has sparked intense public debate, with concerns about the potential for subsequent lockdowns and mandatory nucleic acid testing. Chinese netizens express worries about a potential New Year's Eve infection peak and are reluctant to endure another period of home isolation. As the epidemic continues to spread in China and the Chinese government eases travel restrictions, a significant number of Chinese tourists are traveling abroad. The United States, the United Kingdom, Austria, the Netherlands, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia have recently experienced an uptick in COVID-19 cases. Experts predict a surge in infections around New Year's Day. Xi Jinping Pressure's second generation red for financial aid in emergency, threatens resorting to measures. On December 12, a screenshot uploaded on the overseas social platform X showed a whistleblower, a flying jumping fish, claiming that the CCP leader is demanding the Red second-generation group to hand over at least one-third of their wealth to help the central government through tough times. If they don't comply, he will take measures. A flying jumping fish indicated that the economic crisis has begun to force the CCP leader to shake his core support base, I have indeed seen the counterattack and protests of the Red second-generation group through several channels. He cannot restart the economic flow, so he is targeting existing wealth. This is why I say that social events intensify their internal contradictions, and hence there could be changes. Another ex-user, named Overseas Whistleblower, commented, "She is pressuring Red second families to surrender their assets to help him overcome difficulties." Unable to generate new revenue and deal with Europe and America, he has to make cuts from within. The fortress is most easily breached from the inside. There were earlier rumors that the CCP leader forced wealthy families to hand over part of their assets, with only 2 families not complying. Wang Huntao, a political scholar and chairman of the National Committee of the China Democracy Party, told the Epoch Times on November 2 that due to the economic crisis facing the CCP regime, the CCP leader is collecting assets from wealthy families. Now, except for 2 families, all have surrendered part of their wealth in exchange for peace. Wang Huntao revealed that the Zheng Qinghong family has handed over part of their wealth to avoid investigation. Now only 2 major families can refuse to pay, one is Hu Jintao's, and the other is Jiang Zemin's. All other families have already paid, including Wen Jiabao's. He said that the life of retired CCP leaders is not easy. All senior central officials are essentially under house arrest, and their secretaries, guards, correspondents, drivers, chefs, etc., are all spies. Their meetings and non-meetings all need to be reported. For example, Anbang Group's Wu Xiaowei was sentenced to 18 years in prison in May 2018, and all his properties were confiscated. Wu Xiaowei was the son-in-law of Deng Xiaoping's granddaughter. Around the time he was taken away by the authorities, he signed a divorce agreement with Deng Xiaoping's granddaughter Deng Zhuorui. Chen Xiaolu, son of Marshal Chen Yi of the CCP, was rumored to be the backer of Anbang. After Wu Xiaowei was arrested, he suddenly died in Sanya, Hainan, in February 2018. Huaye Real Estate, owned by Zheng Qinghong's niece, fell into a debt crisis due to the authorities' refusal to lend, forcing it to file for bankruptcy. Zheng Wei, Zheng Qinghong's son, was very high profile in Australia in the past but has disappeared in recent years. On September 28 of this year, authorities arrested Evergrande founder Su Jiayin. Su Jiayin was alleged to be Zheng Qinghong's frontman, having a special relationship with Zheng Qinghong's brother Zheng Qinghuai and close personal ties with Zheng Qinghong's son Zheng Wei, even lending his Australian mansion to Zheng Wei's parties. Feng Chongyi, associate professor at the University of Technology Sydney, told the Epoch Times on November 6 that the CCP regime has faced an economic crisis in recent years. At the same time, Xi Jinping wants to strike at political enemies, with many wealthy people's money being confiscated. Various families may have surrendered part of their wealth to Xi. He stated that initially, wealthy families allowed Xi Jinping to come to power to preserve the Red regime and their interests. Later, Xi became dominant, sidelining, marginalizing, and even destroying the original major shareholders and families, causing their dissatisfaction. Now, these families and Xi Jinping are at complete loggerheads. Beijing leadership holds closed-door economic meeting. Reuters, citing 4 sources, reported that the Chinese Communist Party leaders conducted a closed-door annual Central Economic Work Conference on December 11, focusing on discussing China's economic growth targets and formulating stimulus policies for 2024. The meeting is an attempt to address challenges arising from the intensifying real estate crisis, local government debt, and geopolitical tensions that have led to foreign capital withdrawal. According to official CCP data, until October this year, institutional investor investments in mainland stocks and bonds decreased by more than $31 billion, the largest net outflow since China joined the WTO in 2001. Major financial institutions, including American ones, have cut back investments in China, driven by the real estate crisis and restrictive policies. Prominent hedge funds and private equity firms have reduced their investments in Chinese securities, with mutual funds like Vanguard and Fidelity exiting China entirely. Recently, Liu Jipeng, the dean of the Capital Finance Institute of China University of Political Science and Law, advised retail investors that now is not a good time to speculate in stocks, leading to a ban on his online speech. In addition to Liu Jipeng, some other financial commentators were also banned from the internet. Northeastern University professor Xia Tian warned that the CCP's legitimacy, heavily reliant on economic progress, is at risk due to stagnation and rising unemployment. After the 20th National Congress of the CCP, China's economy is in turmoil, with infighting at the top and a general trend of passivity, or lying flat, among officials and citizens alike. Anders Sorar, a columnist for the Epoch Times' English version, wrote that the current economic chaos in China, with frequent problems, is entirely due to the CCP itself. After demanding banks stop providing funds to real estate developers and creating many other problems, consumer and business confidence in the Chinese economy has been greatly damaged. The CCP is now trying to put the genie back in the bottle, but is failing. Mr. Sorar said that it now seems too late, as the overall economy is collapsing. China's economic momentum has disappeared. Relative to the world, China's population size is shrinking, as is its economy. Thousands of Chinese people are voting with their feet, leaving the country or choosing not to have children in response to the sluggish economy. He criticizes Xi Jinping for his ineffective approach and stubborn adherence to destructive policies, highlighting the CCP's role in not only stalling China's economic growth but also harming international businesses and Hong Kong's financial industry. Rising dowry costs. China legislates to prohibit the solicitation of property through marriage. China has been experiencing a continuous rise in disputes related to exorbitant dowry payments, also known as bride price, which have even led many young people to opt out of marriage. In response to this issue, the Supreme People's Court of China released a provisional regulation on the application of law in disputes involving dowry, solicitation of property in marriage, cases on the 11th, clearly stating that soliciting property through marriage is prohibited. The regulation also stipulates that, if one party solicits property in the name of dowry, and the other party requests a refund, the People's Court shall support such a request. Marriage dowry is a traditional custom in China, but in recent years, there have been cases where the bride's family demands a substantial dowry, leading to conflicts. According to previous reports by Xinhua News Agency, a few years ago, dowry in some areas was generally over 100,000 yuan, but now it often starts at 200,000 yuan, approximately $28,000. In northern Jiangxi, some people have mentioned that dowry now typically amounts to 388,000 yuan. Recently, there was a case in Shanghai where a man in his 80s met his girlfriend through a matchmaking process. After dating for 8 to 9 months, they were preparing to get married. The man gave a dowry of 188,000 yuan as per the woman's request. The man said, "A dowry of 188,000 is the local standard, we call it a big package. I had 168,000 in savings, and I borrowed the remaining 20,000 from friends." Unexpectedly, just before their wedding, the woman demanded an additional 30,000 yuan, about $4,180. The man said, "I can't afford it, and I borrowed the previous amount." As a result, they argued, and the man decided to call off the wedding, resigning from his job and going on a trip with the original 168,000 yuan, over $23,400. This incident gained significant attention, with many netizens supporting the man's decision. CCTV News points out that dowry, as a traditional custom in the field of marriage in China, has a deep social and cultural foundation. However, in recent years, the amount of dowry has continued to rise, leading to an increasing number of dowry-related disputes and even serious criminal cases related to dowry refunds. In light of this, the official Chinese Communist Party document titled Central Document No. 1, released on February 13 of this year, proposed promoting local regulations to address these issues as appropriate, strengthening the role of village rules and community agreements, and having party members and officials set an example to address key issues such as high-priced dowries and extravagant weddings. The Supreme People's Court of China has recently drafted the aforementioned regulation, explicitly stating the prohibition of dowry payments. This regulation consists of 7 articles and clearly defines 3 types of property transfers that do not fall under the category of dowry. Gifts or cash of insignificant value are given by one party to the engagement on special occasions, birthdays, etc. Expenditure by one party to the engagement aimed at expressing or enhancing their feelings. Other properties of insignificant value. Regarding dowry payments that have already been made, the Supreme People's Court of China also specifies 3 situations in which a refund may be requested. If marriage registration has not been completed. If marriage registration has been completed but the couple has not lived together. If the dowry payment has caused financial difficulties for the payer. Wang Jinhua, director of the Social Affairs Department of the Ministry of Civil Affairs of China, stated that the ministry will continue to deepen reforms in wedding customs, vigorously advocate the concept of simple and moderate wedding customs, and work together with relevant departments to address the issue of high dowry payments and other wedding customs practices, in order to meet the expectations of the people for a better life.
Don't forget to leave a comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.